channel.
Hello and a warm welcome into the programme. Coming up for you this week, the secrets of creating a successful phone app, plus a look at the career of a serial entrepreneur, Dori Kodahi, Managing Director of DKM Blue Holdings. It's all ahead for you, but getting up with the sparrows at 5 a.m. First off, apparently is the secret to business success. The Harvard Business Review itself, weighing in, it said that performance peaks in the morning. They're better positioned for career success than those who indeed work best in the evenings. Well, who better to ask than the business leaders themselves who put this into practice? Let's bring into play Angela Ferguson, Managing Director of architectural design company Futurespace in our Sydney CBD studio, and Joel Norton, CEO of Customer Experience from Kalido, who's with me right here in the studio. Warm welcome to you both. Let's just sort of, from a broader perspective, Angela, might begin with you. Set the scene on this. We talk of your organisation, Futurespace. How much of this thinking is being incorporated into the day-to-day from your shop?
Well, look, it's everything we do is very much about what's happening in the workplace and happening in terms of future trends of behaviour. So for me, getting up at 5 a.m. is really part of some of the new behaviours that we see happening in terms of how people are behaving in the workplace.
It's interesting because, Joel, you know, what gives that time slot the winner takes all type ring of truth to it versus those who would say their productivity kicks in best as 9 hours? I mean, there are clearly two schools of thought, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I think, look, for me, it's very much around, look, when you get into the heat of the day, it's very difficult to be able to get any sort of deep work done. So you've got, you know, whether it's phone calls, meetings, emails and everything else, I think the morning for me is an opportunity to have some quiet time, some quality thinking time. And enable me to work on the strategic initiatives within the business, so working on the business rather than in the business.
And so, Angela, those meetings, as you know, Joel was mentioning, is there not, though, even with proper management, the ability to cordon off, I mean, particularly if you're, for instance, working in different time zones? That idea, yes, may apply to a 9 to 5 in this market, but if you're having to hook up to the Northern Hemisphere, for instance, are you telling me that all of those rules somehow don't apply?
Well, I think what I do at 5 o'clock in the morning is perhaps a little bit of what Joel just mentioned. Is I do a lot of that focused work and that quiet thinking time, because my diary can be pretty much blocked out from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So that 1 hour from 5 till 6, that's completely mine to do whatever it is that I want to do with. And more often than not, I use it to set up my day and to get my head straight. So as part of that setting up your day, are you talking about something that is completely separate to what will then be the core focus? So almost like a kind of a shocking kind of analogy, but an amuse-bouche for the main course, really? Or is it, I mean, just define it. Is it a physical activity? Yeah, that will get the brain whirring, or is it, you know, something, you know, much more mundane? Well, look, for me, it's really, there's three main things that I do at that time. I could be travelling to Melbourne because we have another studio there, so I could spend, so I can get the best out of the day, I, you know, travel quite early, get that 6 a.m. flight. I do a lot of writing and a lot of report writing and thought leadership writing. So for me, that time of the day is when my head is really, really clear. But I think the thing that I get the most out of is I actually do a gratitude list first thing in the morning when I wake up. So that really gets my head in terms of the right focus for the day, which means that I am in a better, I'm coming from a better place for all of those people who need me throughout the day. So for me, that's a really important part of being up that early, is to do some of that more perhaps emotional or even spiritual side of being a really useful business person.
So you kind of mentioned in that the idea of there are other people in your thinking at that time. Joel, is that sort of the similar type of imagery that you bring to mind at that specific moment, or is it about me time at the exclusion of others? What are you saying is more effective?
Well, it's both really. I think for me it's really important around having a balance. So look, I've got a few different routines that I have during the week. So there's a few mornings where I'm up at 5 o'clock. I do personal training, I do CrossFit in the morning, but I do that really early, so I'm already at my desk by 7 o'clock and still get a couple of hours of work in before the noise happens. And there's other days where I'm similar to Angela, where I'll get up, I'll do some meditation, some gratitude, and then I'm still able to jump into and start thinking productively about work. So I think it's a matter of having a bit of a balance.
And the gratitude, because you both mentioned that, how to best understand that? You first off, Joel. What is that? What is that as, and break it down?
Well, look, for me personally, it's around I suppose recognising being grateful for the things that may have happened through the previous day, or forward thinking. So that's a combination of obviously the positive things, but also looking at the things the negative things, perceived negative things that may have happened, and trying to put a positive spin. What have you learned and come out of that? So I think that's really, from a personal growth point of view, that's something I really value.
And is there an issue, Angela, if that list is sort of imbalanced at any given time? Is that telling you I'm going to need to later on return to it and give it more attention? And how do you factor that in?
Well, yeah, that list for me is really about, because I can look at my diary and see everything I've got booked in for the day, and I'm facing the day with dread because all I'm thinking about is everything I have to do. But if I can sit down and take that time to say, well, look, these are all the great opportunities that I've got coming up ahead of me, and if I can just refocus, then it means I'm going into the day with a much better mindset, and I'm getting a lot more out of it, and the people around me are getting a lot more out of me being in their lives as well.
How do you get off the diary, though, kind of treadmill, Joel? I mean, even on a weekend, does it seem sort of semi-artificial that you're suspending normal behaviour in order to satisfy others? But then it's kind of ultimately having to revert to type.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I'm fairly structured still on the weekends around things, but for me it's around blocking out time as well, so that people can't book. So what's important to me, I'm booking time into my diary to manage those things, rather than being constantly at the mercy of other people. So.
And do you ultimately need to take personal ownership of that diary, or you can outsource that?
No, I prefer to manage that myself, yeah.
Andrew, is there a sort of a position you've taken on that?
Yeah, look, I manage my own diary. I like Joel just mentioned, I block out certain times in my days where I say do not book under any circumstances, and then I let other people then sort of put whatever else they want to in around that. But I do carve out time for myself. I think that's really important.
What happens when the unexpected happens? I mean, just walk me through, Joel, a situation where you've had to basically tear up the diary for the day. And even, dare I say it, work through the night. So you've kind of really, you've gotten off to the worst of starts from that. I mean, a project overrun, for instance, or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, look, I mean, it does happen, and I think you just got to be present around that and just deal with what you've got to do. So I think the important thing is that as long as you're consistently being productive and working to what you focus on, then that's the important thing. But if
and would you push through, though? I mean, for instance, the idea of a double shift back to back, if events demand it, knowing that your productivity was severely constrained at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we're in a service-based industry. You need to work. There's always deadlines, so you have to push through that. But look, I'm fortunate. I'm really excited. I love what I do. I'm really excited about the work that we do and the team that we have. So that makes it pretty easy to sort of push through that.
And the customer experience, just sort of drill down briefly into the entity that you're with.
Yeah.
We're all the time thinking the customer is awfully sort of they're prone to change every 5 minutes. What they say they want or like or are following.
Yeah.
So how are you staying in tune with that, but also keeping something consistent as an offering?
Yeah.
How do you balance that out?
Well, so we're dealing with a lot of brands that are using a combination of customer data and also marketing technology. So we're using the data to derive insights and understanding about the customers, and then using marketing technology to really sort of execute initiatives off the back of that. So it's through the combination of those two pieces, I think, and that's where we're doing some amazing work.
And just, well, can you give an example? Can you sort of say, what was it the
So, I mean, recently we were just looking at some one of our retail clients, and in the last 12 months we've increased their online traffic by over 600%. That's driven incremental, it was millions of dollars in incremental revenue to their bottom line, and as well as shifted a whole lot of other positive metrics around customer engagement, positive feedback, and a whole lot of other areas. So that's pretty exciting, and one of the reasons why I get up early.
And do companies, have that awareness on budgeting for this? I mean, typically, what is the expectation that you're telling them they need to brace for?
Yeah, look, I think they're increasingly budgeting for this stuff. So certainly around marketing automation and some of that technology stuff. It's been on the horizon, I think, for quite a few years, but it's getting increasingly. There's more spend going to that area because they are focusing on customer experience, and it's delivering real results to the bottom line.
Clearly. Angela, just a snapshot from your perch as well. When we talk about Futurespace and the design architecturally, are you talking primarily about what? Is this bricks and mortar? Is this the smarter way of working with hot desking, and still the debate rages on that? Where are we at? What are you doing?
Well, look, everything that we do is about people being the product of their environment. So we design all sorts of spaces, predominantly workspaces, that are centred around that human experience. So, a workplace, say, for PwC would look very different to a workplace for Google. And so the way we work, it's very customer focused, and it's very much about understanding that business and then designing a workplace that's going to support the people in that business. So it's a little bit similar to what Joel was talking about in terms of, getting into the mind of the customer and designing something that's really tailor-made and bespoke for them.
And are you ultimately defaulting, though, to best practice in which market that you say is leading? That you get inspired by?
Yeah, definitely the workplace design, in terms of that's our area of focus and expertise.
So, is there one market that's really one step ahead of everyone else, Angela? I mean, I'm talking globally.
Yeah, look, I think recently we've done some work with PwC, and we've redesigned their client spaces to be much more customer focused, much more tech enabled, and I really think it is one of the first types of these environments in Australia where a big company like PwC is working with their clients in a really innovative, really collaborative, co-creation type environment. So that's probably the way of the future, I think, for us, is the way that our clients interact with their clients and designing spaces to support that.
Okay, well, on that basis, we will thank you both, Angela Ferguson, MD at the architectural design company Futurespace, and to you, Joel Norton, CEO of customer experience firm Kalido. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, founder of a popular new app, how to succeed in this crowded space where seemingly you're more than spoiled for choice. Well, more in a minute.